Okay, let's talk about a phrase you see everywhere online, passive income. What does it actually mean, and what does it really take for a beginner to get started in 2026? We're going to cut through the hype and get real about it.
You've seen it, right? Those posts promising you can quit your job in 30 days. It's an awesome dream for sure, but honestly, it's usually more of a fantasy. We're going to dig into what it actually takes to build these things from scratch.
And this really gets to the heart of the problem. The myth is all about viral wealth, this idea that you'll just stumble upon some shortcut and get rich instantly. But the reality? It's slow wealth. It's about building something methodically and patiently, brick by brick.
So let's be super clear on what we're talking about. Passive income is not no-work income. That's the big misunderstanding. The key phrase here is front-loaded effort. You put in the hard work now, building the thing, creating the product, whatever it is, so that it can hopefully generate income later with a lot less of your active time.
So why does this even matter right now? Well, with inflation being what it is, your paycheck just doesn't stretch as far as it used to. Building a little extra income on the side isn't just some get-rich-quick scheme. It's about creating financial breathing room, a little stability.
All right, let's dive into our first two strategies. Think of these as the foundation. They're the safest, simplest assets you can have, and they are pretty much the bedrock of any solid passive income plan.
First up, at number 5, we have the good old high-yield savings account. Now look, the returns are not going to blow your mind. $1,000 might earn you enough for a cup of coffee each month, but that's not the point. This is about making your money work for you instead of just sitting there, and it helps protect it from inflation. It's safe, it's simple, and honestly, it's essential.
Okay, coming in at number 4 are REITs. That stands for Real Estate Investment Trusts. The easiest way to think about it is this. You get to invest in real estate without the headache of actually being a landlord. You're basically buying a tiny slice of a huge portfolio of properties and earning a bit of the profits. It's a great way to dip your toes in the real estate market, but you gotta remember, like any investment, the value can go up or down.
So what does that actually look like in your pocket? Well, if you put about $5,000 into a typical REIT ETF, you might see around $15 a month. Again, it's not going to replace your salary, but it's a perfect example of how these small, consistent streams of income start to add up over time.
All right, let's move on to our number 3 strategy. And this is where things start to get really interesting. We're shifting from just earning a little interest to, well, to the real magic of building wealth, compounding. This one is all about playing the long game.
We're talking about dividend ETFs. You might have heard of ones like SCHD or VYM. Basically, when you own shares in these funds, the companies inside pay you a small piece of their profits. These payments are called dividends. Now, at first, they might seem pretty tiny, but the real power is what happens next. When you're picking one, you'll want to glance at its dividend yield and its expense ratio. That's just the small fee you pay to own.
You know, the best way to think about this is like a small snowball at the top of a really, really long hill. When you reinvest those little dividends, you're buying more shares. Those new shares then earn their own dividends. So your little snowball just keeps picking up more snow as it rolls, getting bigger and faster over time. That is the heart of slow wealth.
Okay, now we're getting into the strategies with the highest potential upside. But, and this is a big but, they also require the most upfront work. This is where your time and your creativity can really turn into something scalable.
At number 2, we have affiliate marketing. You've seen this all over YouTube, blogs, TikTok, everywhere. And the appeal is obvious. The potential is huge. But the hard truth? This is where most people get frustrated and just quit.
So how does it work? Well, the process itself is pretty straightforward. You create some kind of helpful content, a blog post, a video review, whatever. You share a special, unique link to a product. When somebody clicks your link and buys that thing, you get a small commission. Simple in theory, right? But actually doing it well is the tricky part.
And here's that reality check. Building an audience that trusts you takes time, a lot of time. You could easily be looking at 6 to 12 months of creating content consistently before you see any real money coming in. The secret here isn't being perfect, it's about being persistent long enough for your work to finally start paying off. And that brings us to our number 1 strategy, which I think has the highest potential for a beginner starting out in 2026, and that's creating and selling your own digital products. This is all about leveraging what you know and turning it into an asset you can sell again and again.
So what am I talking about here? Well, it could be anything. An ebook, a digital planner for students, some cool social media templates for small businesses, or even a short mini course.
The absolute magic of this is you create the thing once and you can sell it over and over and over with almost zero ongoing effort.
And the potential to scale here is just incredible. You know, a beginner might start out making a few $100s a month, but as you get better at marketing and maybe improve your product, that income can easily grow to over $1,000 a month, or even more. The ceiling is really high on this one.
So we've covered 5 really different strategies, from the super safe and slow to the really scalable stuff that takes a lot of work. But a smart beginner doesn't just pick one and ignore all the others. The real power move is to combine them into a smart plan.
This is what a really solid, realistic approach looks like. You use a high-yield savings account for your safety net. You invest in ETFs to let that compounding magic work for you over the long term. And you focus your creative energy on building content and digital products for that scalable income. See how each one plays a different but really important role?
So here's the bottom line. Passive income isn't fake. It's very, very real. It's totally achievable. It just happens to be a lot slower and requires a lot more upfront work than most people on social media want you to believe. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
And that brings us to the end. I just want to leave you with this one question to chew on. Now that you've seen the options, what is the first, tiny, totally manageable step you can take, maybe even today, to start building your very first passive income stream?